Good evening, dreamer, and welcome back to Boring Science for Sleep. Here, science becomes a bedtime story, gentle, slow, and never too serious. This is not a lecture, but a lullaby meant to ease you into rest. Tonight, we ask a question whispered from the edge of imagination. What happens if you fall into a black hole? Black holes are the most mysterious objects in the cosmos, places where gravity is so strong that not even light can escape. They are both terrifying and beautiful, like cosmic whirlpools carved into the fabric of space and time. To fall toward one is to drift into a story of extremes, stretching, slowing, and silence. But don't worry, this isn't a journey of fear, it is one of wonder. We'll move slowly, carefully, step by step, to understand what lies at the edge of these dark giants. You don't need to follow every detail, or remember every fact. Just let the story wash over you like starlight on calm water. So before we begin, tell me, where are you listening from tonight, and what time is it there? I love knowing how far these stories travel, as if they too were beams of light drifting across the universe. Now, settle in, breathe deeply, and let's begin our descent into the quiet mystery of the black hole. Close your eyes, dear listener, and imagine space not as emptiness, but as a grand, invisible fabric. Upon it, stars and planets rest like stones on a blanket, pulling the fabric downward, shaping curves and valleys that guide everything around them. This is gravity, the quiet sculptor of the universe. Usually, gravity is gentle. It holds your feet on the ground, tugs the moon around the Earth, and pulls Earth in its patient orbit around the Sunday. But there are places where gravity stops whispering and begins to roar. Places where the pull becomes irresistible, unrelenting, absolute. These are the black holes, cosmic abysses where gravity has collapsed into its most extreme form. To understand how black holes call to us, we must begin with stars. Stars live for millions, even billions, of years, burning hydrogen into helium in their fiery hearts. This nuclear furnace pushes outward, balancing the inward pull of gravity. As long as a star has fuel, it shines steadily, suspended in this cosmic tug-of-war. But one day, the fuel runs out, the furnace sputters, and the balance breaks. Gravity, once held in check, wins. The star begins to collapse under its own weight. For smaller stars, this collapse may end gently, leaving behind a white dwarf, a fading ember in the dark. For larger ones, the collapse is more violent, producing neutron stars, dense, spinning remnants where atoms themselves are crushed into their cores. And for the most massive stars of all, the collapse does not stop. Gravity continues its work, folding space and time inward until no known force can resist. The core shrinks, smaller and smaller, denser and denser, until it forms a singularity, a place where density is infinite, and the fabric of the universe caves in completely. Around it forms an invisible boundary, the event horizon, beyond which no light escapes. This is a black hole. And here lies its strange invitation. Unlike stars which shine with warmth, or planets which reflect sunlight, black holes give off no light of their own. They cannot call to us with brightness. Their presence is silent, invisible, and yet they tug. Their gravity is a whisper that becomes a shout, drawing everything near them closer, bending the paths of stars, pulling streams of gas into glowing arcs, capturing light itself. From afar, you would not notice their pull right away. A star orbiting near one might seem to dance in a wide circle, as if guided by an unseen partner. Only when you look carefully, patiently, do you realize what must be at the center. Something dark, something massive, something calling with gravity alone. It is almost as if black holes sing a song that only the universe can hear. They bend starlight, twist galaxies, and stir cosmic matter into whirlpools of glowing gas. This glow, called the accretion disk, forms not from the black hole itself, but from matter falling toward it, heated as it spirals down. To us, the disk is like a spotlight around a shadow, revealing the unseen singer by the brightness of everything caught in its pull. Imagine standing at the edge of a cosmic cliff. Below is a depth without end, invisible and silent, yet you feel the pull toward it. That is the invitation of a black hole, Not words, not light, but gravity itself, reaching across space, tugging at stars, dust, and dreams. The pull is not always destructive. In fact, black holes can be guardians as much as devourers. At the center of our own galaxy, the Milky Way, lies a supermassive black hole called Sagittarius A. It sits quietly, 4 million times the mass of our Sun, holding the galaxy together with its weight. Without it, the stars of our Milky Way might scatter. With it, they circle in graceful orbits. The black hole calls, and the galaxy listens. There is poetry in this. The darkest objects in the universe are also the most binding. The very thing that swallows light is the thing that holds galaxies in shape. The invitation of gravity is not always doom. Sometimes it is structure, order, stability. Still, for anything that drifts too close, the call becomes irresistible. A star that wanders near may be torn apart, its gases stretched into streams that glow brilliantly as they fall inward. A comet might be captured, spiraling until it vanishes. Even beams of light that stray too near are bent, curved into orbits or swallowed whole. To fall toward a black hole is to surrender completely, to gravity, to inevitability, to silence. But let us remember, you would not feel that call until you were close. From a safe distance, a black hole is no more dangerous than any other object of the same mass. If our Sun were replaced with a black hole of equal weight, Earth would continue its orbit, unchanged, cold and dark, but still circling. Black holes are not cosmic vacuum cleaners sucking all things indiscriminately. They are simply gravity concentrated, their call stronger the closer you are. The invitation, then, is subtle. It is not the shout of a storm, but the quiet, constant beckoning of a tide. Step too close, and you will be carried in. And perhaps that is why black holes fascinate us so much. They are not only astronomical objects, they are metaphors for inevitability, for surrender, for endings that reshape into beginnings. To fall into one is to experience the extreme of gravity's call, but to witness one is to remember that even darkness has a role in the cosmos. Tonight, as you lie here listening, think of that invitation. Imagine yourself at the edge of a black hole, not in fear but in wonder. You feel the pull, gentle at first, steady, patient. Around you, stars bend, light curves, time itself feels soft and malleable. The call is not loud, it does not rush, it simply waits. And in that waiting, there is a lesson. Sometimes, the strongest invitations in life are not the ones shouted or forced, but the quiet ones, the steady draws that pull us toward what matters. Black holes, for all their mystery, remind us of this truth. So let yourself rest in their gravity tonight. You are safe, far from their reach, yet close enough in imagination to feel their pull. The invitation of gravity is not only in black holes, it is in the earth that holds you gently, the moon that guides the tides, the sun that binds us in orbit. All of them whisper the same message. You belong, you are held, you are part of the great dance of space and time. Imagine walking through a forest at dusk. The light is fading, shadows lengthen, and paths grow uncertain. Ahead, there is a line, invisible but real, the moment when the forest becomes so dark you can no longer find your way back. On one side, you can still turn around and return to safety. On the other, you are swallowed by the night. This is what physicists call the event horizon of a black hole. It is not a wall, not a surface you could touch, but a boundary drawn into the fabric of the cosmos itself. Beyond it, nothing, no signal, no sound, not even light can escape. It is the ultimate point of no return. To understand why, we must revisit the nature of gravity. Imagine throwing a ball upward on Earth. The harder you throw, the higher it rises, but eventually gravity pulls it back. Throw harder still, and it climbs higher, but still returns. Only if you throw the ball fast enough, at Earth's escape velocity, will it break free, leaving Earth behind forever. For Earth, this escape velocity is about 11 kilometers per second. For the Sun, it is much greater. But for a black hole, the escape velocity exceeds the speed of light itself. Since nothing can move faster than light, nothing can escape once it crosses the horizon. It is not that the black hole pulls harder inside, it is that every possible path leads inward. The river of space itself flows only one way. The event horizon is therefore a kind of cosmic waterfall. Imagine a river flowing toward a cliff. Above the falls, a fish can swim against the current and escape. Closer to the edge, the current grows stronger, and the fish must swim harder to stay in place. At the very brink, no matter how fast the fish swims, the water rushes downward too quickly. Beyond the edge, even the swiftest swimmer is carried over. The horizon of a black hole is this brink, the place where space itself is flowing inward faster than light can flee. To an outside observer, something strange happens as you approach this horizon. Suppose you, dreamer, are brave enough to drift toward a black hole while your friend stays far away with a telescope. As you fall closer, your movements appear to slow. The signals from your clock grow sluggish. Your image stretches and reddens, dimming into obscurity. From your friend's perspective, you never quite cross the horizon. You simply fade, slower and slower, until you vanish as a ghostly ember at the edge of darkness. But from your own perspective, there is no pause, no hesitation. You fall straight through, crossing the horizon without even noticing a boundary. No wall greets you, no sudden shift. One moment you are outside, the next you are inside. The only change is subtle. All possible paths forward now lead to the center. Even if you turn around, even if you shine a light outward, everything you send will curve inward, carried with you into the abyss. This difference in perspectives is one of the strangest aspects of black holes. To an outsider, you never enter. To yourself, you cannot help but enter. Both truths coexist, stitched into the fabric of space-time. The horizon also has another meaning. It is a horizon not of place, but of knowledge. For us, peering from the outside, nothing beyond it can be known. The laws of physics, as we understand them, no longer send us signals from within. It is a library of stories with sealed doors. Whatever lies inside remains private to the black hole, hidden from the universe. And yet, the event horizon is not entirely silent. Stephen Hawking discovered that black holes are not completely black. At their horizons, pairs of virtual particles appear, and sometimes one escapes, radiating a faint glow into space. Over unimaginable stretches of time, this Hawking radiation could cause black holes to evaporate, shrinking until they vanish. Even the horizon, it seems, whispers, though in voices so faint they take billions of years to be heard. For now, though, black holes remain among the most secretive places in existence. Their horizons are doors we cannot open, boundaries we cannot cross and return. They are reminders that not everything can be known, that mystery is built into the universe. Perhaps there is a human lesson here. We all have horizons of our own, moments in life where paths diverge, where decisions cannot be undone, where time only flows forward. Crossing such thresholds can feel frightening, but they are also natural. They are part of the fabric of living, just as horizons are part of the fabric of space. Tonight, as you rest, imagine yourself drifting gently towards such a horizon. There is no fear, no rush, just a gradual softening, a fading into stillness. To the world outside, you appear to slow, to pause, to linger, but to yourself, the passage is seamless, as calm as falling asleep. And that is perhaps the best metaphor of all. To cross an event horizon is not to collide with violence, but to surrender into inevitability. Sleep, too, is like this, a point of no return each night, where thoughts fade, eyes close, and you drift into dreams. From the outside, it seems like you are pausing. From the inside, it feels like continuing forward. So let the event horizon be your comfort, not your fear. It is not only an ending, but a threshold. Beyond it lies mystery, yes, but also continuation. Just as stars vanish into black holes and yet galaxies are shaped by them, so too do we find that endings create new structures, new beginnings. Close your eyes and imagine that horizon now, not as a wall, but as a doorway, not as destruction, but as transformation. You are safe here, far from its true reach, yet close enough in imagination to hear its quiet invitation. And let that invitation guide you, like a lullaby, into your own horizon of rest tonight. Imagine standing on the edge of a river, watching a leaf drift toward a waterfall. From your vantage point, The leaf slows as it nears the brink, as though time itself is hesitating, reluctant to let the leaf cross into the unknown. To you, the moment stretches out, elongated into an eternity. But to the leaf, the drift continues steadily, without pause, until it is gone. This is the strange duality of time near a black hole. It is not only space that curves under the weight of gravity, but time itself. And so, as something falls toward a black hole, two perspectives emerge, that of the falling traveler and that of the distant observer. Both are true, yet they seem to contradict. From far away, if you were watching a friend approach a black hole, their journey would look like a slow-motion dream. As they neared the event horizon, their clock would appear to tick more and more slowly. Each gesture would lengthen, each word would stretch, the light from them would grow redder, fainter, harder to see. And then, at the very edge, they would seem to freeze in place, a dim ember on the horizon, never quite crossing. To your eyes, they would fall forever, asymptotically slowing as eternity passed. But if you were the one falling, the story would be different. Your heart would beat in its normal rhythm. Your clock would tick as always. You would not feel your time stretch or slow. Instead, you would continue, steady and smooth, crossing the event horizon without even noticing the moment. To you, there is no freeze, no halt. The journey feels seamless, continuous, inevitable. This is the wonder of Einstein's relativity. Time is not absolute, but relative to the observer. To the one outside, you slow forever. To the one inside, you fall freely. Both realities coexist, each a truth bound by perspective. Let's linger for a moment on what this would look like. Imagine yourself floating in space, gazing at your wristwatch as you drift toward a black hole. The seconds tick by calmly. You breathe, you blink, you fall. The stars around you bend into arcs as the gravity distorts their light, yet everything feels ordinary, almost tranquil. Now imagine your friend, safe at a distance, watching you through a telescope. They see your signals stretch into slowness. A message you send takes longer and longer to arrive. The light reflecting from you grows redder, dimmer, until at last it vanishes into silence. To them, you never truly cross the horizon. You are frozen at the edge forever. To you, you have already gone far beyond. It is like a farewell that never ends. To the watcher, you remain, ghostly, on the threshold. To yourself, you have already left, moving onward into a mystery they can never see. This paradox is not just poetic, it is physical truth. Time itself is woven into space, and gravity is the hand that pulls the threads. Near a black hole, that hand pulls so strongly that the threads stretch into different lengths depending on where you are. What feels like a moment to one is an eternity to another. There are echoes of this in everyday life. If we listen carefully, think of waiting for news. To the one who waits, each minute feels like an hour. To the one living the moment, time flies quickly. Or think of a loved one far away. To you, their absence feels endless. To them, their days may pass in a blur. Time is not uniform in experience, even for us. The black hole only magnifies this truth into cosmic proportions. If we extend this thought, we see another wonder. Falling into a black hole is also a journey into the future. For the falling traveler, time seems ordinary. But because of the immense stretching, by the time they fall inward, the universe outside may have aged unimaginably. Galaxies may have shifted, stars may have died, civilizations may have risen and fallen. In their fall, they have leapt forward in cosmic history. They did not rush, but time outside raced ahead. This possibility makes the black hole not just a tomb, but a time machine of sorts. A place where to fall is also to arrive in a distant era, far beyond the one you left. To the traveler, it was moments. To the cosmos, it was epochs. And yet, for the one watching, the story remains incomplete. They never see you cross. They never see you vanish. They hold your last image forever, glowing faintly at the horizon. You are both gone and present, both departed and lingering, a paradox of existence. Perhaps this is why black holes resonate with us not only as scientific objects, but as metaphors for parting, for endings, for the strange ways time treats memory. To those who go, life feels continuous. To those who watch, absence feels frozen. We have all known this, a goodbye that feels eternal to one person, but fleeting to another. As you drift towards sleep, think of this duality. Imagine yourself as the falling traveler, feeling time move normally, peacefully. Now imagine yourself as the distant friend, watching the fall stretch into infinity. Both truths are gentle, both are valid. Together, they form a harmony, a cosmic lullaby about the relativity of time. In the end, what black holes teach us is that time is not rigid, not absolute, not the same for all. It bends, it stretches, it softens, and in that truth, there is comfort. For if time is flexible, then so too are our experiences of waiting, of longing, of change. Nothing is fixed. Everything flows. So let yourself flow tonight. Let time soften around you. From one perspective, your sleep will pass in hours. From another, it will feel like a blink. Both will be true. Both will carry you safely across your own horizon of dreams. And when morning comes, you will emerge, just as light sometimes does from the edge of darkness, renewed, shifted, carried forward. For even in falling slowly there is continuity. Even in stretched time, there is rest. Close your eyes now and surrender to that gentle fall, like drifting toward a horizon, like sinking into calm waters, like slipping into sleep. You are safe. You are carried. You are already on your way. Picture yourself lying on your back in a field at night. Above you, the stars are still, though you know they move. The earth holds you gently, gravity pressing you down with a steady, equal hand. It is a quiet balance. Your head and your feet, your heart and your hands, all feel the same downward pull. You are whole, unbroken, held in symmetry. But near a black hole, this balance begins to falter. The pull of gravity is no longer even. It grows stronger the closer you are, weaker the farther away. This difference, so small here on Earth, becomes immense in the shadow of a black hole. If you drift toward one, feet first, your feet feel a stronger tug than your head. The lower half of you is pulled harder, stretched longer, while the upper half lags behind. The result is a strange, inexorable elongation, a drawing out of your very form. Physicists, with their dry humor, call it spaghettification. The transformation of matter, of anything, of anyone, into a thin, stretched strand, like a noodle of cosmic pasta, pulled thinner and thinner as it approaches the abyss. It sounds grotesque, but let us imagine it more gently. Imagine threads of light woven into a tapestry. As the tapestry is pulled at one end, the threads elongate, drawing out into fine strands. They do not break all at once. They stretch, held in tension, until the weave is undone. In the same way, matter that falls toward a black hole is not crushed instantly, but stretched, drawn along the steep gradient of gravity. Here on Earth, tidal forces are small. The moon pulls more on the oceans facing it than on the oceans facing away, and this difference creates the tides. But you do not feel your body stretched by the moon. You are too small, and the difference across your length is too subtle. In a black hole's gravity, however, those differences become immense. What the moon does to oceans, the black hole does to atoms. From a safe distance, you would see this stretching as both terrifying and strangely beautiful. A star that wanders too close might be torn apart, its gases drawn into streams that spiral inward, glowing as they heat. These luminous ribbons, stretched like threads of fire, circle the black hole in elegant arcs before vanishing. To the star, it is destruction. To us, it is spectacle, a cosmic painting brushed with gravity. Even at the scale of a human, the effect is absolute. If you fell feet first, your legs would begin to stretch ahead of you, your torso drawn out, your arms pulled apart. In an instant, you would be thinner, longer, more fragile than silk, and eventually torn down not just to pieces, but to atoms themselves. The very fabric of your being would unravel. But let us not linger on the violence. Instead, let us think of the poetry of it. Spaghettification is the most extreme reminder that space is not flat, that gravity is not uniform, that closeness matters. It tells us that in the universe, Where you are shapes how you are. The difference between your feet and your head becomes destiny near the horizon. And it reminds us of the tides we know so well. The rising and falling of oceans, the gentle pull of the moon are echoes of this same stretching. On Earth, it is a rhythm of water. Near a black hole, it is a rhythm of space itself. The same principle, written in different scales. One gentle, one absolute. Now imagine experiencing this as the falling traveler. To you, it may not feel sudden. You would not notice the stretch all at once, but gradually, as if your body were elongating into the fabric of space. The sense of self might dissolve not as an instant breaking, but as a long surrender, becoming part of the lines of force, merging into the flow of gravity. It is an unsettling thought, yes, but also strangely peaceful, to become a thread in the tapestry. To be drawn into the great weaving of the cosmos is not destruction so much as absorption. You do not end, you are redistributed, redrawn into new patterns of energy. For those watching from afar, spaghettification is the last visible act of matter before it disappears. The falling star becomes a glowing filament, circling briefly, then gone. The traveler becomes a faint streak, stretched into invisibility. It is both spectacle and silence, the last signature before the horizon swallows everything. And yet, like so many truths of the universe, this extremity carries a human reflection. We, too, are sometimes stretched by forces beyond our control. Time pulls us forward unevenly, moments of joy passing quickly, moments of sorrow dragging long. Life itself tugs us in different directions, stretching us between duties, between desires, and though the stretch can feel unbearable, it is also what shapes us, what thins away the unnecessary and leaves behind the essential thread of who we are. So spaghettification is not only the fate of matter near a black hole, it is also a metaphor for existence. To be stretched, to be pulled, to be elongated by forces beyond yourself, and yet to remain part of the great fabric. You are never lost, only woven differently. As you lie here tonight, let this image carry you. Imagine yourself not as a body torn, but as a thread, being gently drawn into cosmic fabric. You are not breaking, you are joining. You are becoming part of the wider tapestry, stretched across space and time. The black hole does not end you. It transforms you into pattern, into presence, into continuity. And so, the frightening word spaghettification softens. It becomes not about noodles or tearing, but about threads and weaving, about being drawn into the deepest rhythm of gravity, becoming part of its eternal pull. Let that thought ease you towards sleep. You are safe here, far from any true black hole, yet your imagination lets you touch their mystery. You can feel their pull not as terror, but as lullaby, a reminder that even the strongest forces of the universe are part of the same fabric that holds you gently now. Close your eyes and drift as if you were a leaf on water, as if you were a thread in cloth, as if you were a photon in light. You are held, you are stretched, you are part of something vast. And in that vastness, you can rest. Imagine standing on the shore of a calm lake at night. The moon hovers above, and its light spills onto the water. The reflection is not rigid, but softened, bending with each ripple. The glow seems to stretch, shimmer, and break apart, yet always returns to form. In this simple scene, you are already witnessing how light is not a rigid traveler, but one that bends, curves, and glows depending on the paths it takes. Now, take this thought into the cosmos, to the edge of a black hole. There, the bending is no longer subtle. There, light itself becomes a river pulled into curves, forced to flow along paths sculpted by gravity. Albert Einstein predicted this strange truth in his theory of general relativity. Gravity is not simply a pull, but a curvature of space and time. Massive objects warp the fabric of reality itself, and light, always following the straightest possible path, must trace these curves. To us, this looks as if light is bending. And nowhere in the universe is this bending more profound than near a black hole. Picture a star passing behind a black hole. Its beams of light, which would otherwise travel straight to our eyes, are forced to bend around the abyss. The star may appear in more than one place at once, its image duplicated, stretched, or even forming a perfect glowing ring around the black hole. Astronomers call this an Einstein ring, a luminous circle of light created not by mirrors, but by the warping of space itself. This bending also explains why black holes, though invisible, are outlined in brilliance. As matter drifts inward, gas, dust, or even entire stars, it spirals down in a glowing whirlpool called an accretion disk. Friction heats this matter to incredible temperatures, causing it to blaze with light, but gravity twists that light, bending it into arcs, looping it around the black hole. To a distant observer, the result is surreal, a dark center encircled by glowing streams, an abyss crowned with fire. And at the very edge, at just the right distance, lies the photon sphere, a boundary where light does not fall inward immediately, but circles endlessly. Here, photons orbit the black hole like moths caught in an eternal dance. They do not escape, but they do not vanish either. Instead, they loop again and again, creating a glowing halo. What you would see, looking toward such a place, is light bending into impossible shapes, crowding the darkness with a crown of brilliance. To fall toward a black hole, then, is to fall into a theatre of distorted light. Stars behind you may appear ahead of you, their beams curved around. Galaxies might seem to stretch and swirl. Even your own shadow might fold upon itself. The abyss does not simply swallow, it paints, twisting light into ghostly echoes of the world outside. From far away, this bending is a gift to astronomers. It lets us see what would otherwise be hidden. Galaxies too distant to resolve become visible when their light is lensed by a black hole or a cluster of matter between us and them. Entire arcs of galaxies appear in telescope images, cosmic mirages, created by gravity's pull on light. The universe gives us spectacles that are both illusions and truths, both distortions and revelations. But for the falling traveler, the glow is more intimate. Imagine approaching the horizon of a black hole. Around you, the stars seem to smear, as though painted across the sky with a trembling brush. The accretion disk blazes with terrible beauty, spiraling into the center, brighter than 1,000 suns. The photon sphere crowns it all, a ring of light refusing to let go, orbiting in stubborn defiance. And then, as you cross the horizon, the glow vanishes from outside view. To the watcher, you seem to fade, red-shifted into invisibility. To you, the world outside grows distorted, compressed into a shrinking window of light. The black hole does not only pull matter, it pulls the very stage of sight, bending the scenery until the play collapses. This bending and glowing remind us that even darkness cannot escape relationship. A black hole cannot be seen directly, but it reveals itself in how it shapes the world around it. Light, though massless, cannot resist the curve of space. It yields, and in that yielding, beauty is born. There is poetry here for our own lives. We, too, are bent by forces larger than ourselves, by love, by time, by memory, by gravity of another kind. We may resist, but we are shaped nonetheless, and sometimes, in the bending, we glow. Sometimes, in the distortion, new patterns emerge, new truths are revealed. The universe shows us that surrendering to the curve does not always mean loss. Sometimes it means radiance. Consider rainbows. They are born of light bent by droplets, split into colors by the angles of water. Consider twilight, when sunlight bends through the thick atmosphere, painting skies in reds and purples. Consider even your own reflection, bent through glass or rippling water. Everywhere, bending reveals beauty. Why would the cosmos be any different? At the edge of a black hole, this truth reaches its climax. Light bends so much that it becomes its own mirror, circling in self-reflection. Glow emerges from destruction, radiance crowns the void. The darkest places become the brightest in their edges. As you drift toward sleep tonight, let this image rest with you. A black hole crowned with a ring of light, an abyss, yet haloed, darkness, yet adorned with glow. It is a reminder that even endings have edges of brilliance. Even silence has echoes of beauty. And when you close your eyes, imagine yourself as light itself, not resisting the curve but flowing with it. You are bent, yes, but you are also guided. You are shaped into new paths, new forms of radiance, like starlight on water, like galaxies arced into rings, like photons dancing at the edge of eternity. So rest in that glow. You are not swallowed by the dark, you are haloed by it, and in that halo, you can find peace. Close your eyes and imagine yourself drifting slowly toward the edge of a black hole. Outside, the stars have already bent into strange shapes, their light curving and folding into arcs. The accretion disk burns bright, a whirlpool of fire circling the unseen abyss, and then there is the horizon. The event horizon is the last threshold. Crossing it feels seamless, ordinary. No alarms, no flashes, no violent rupture. One moment you are outside, the next you are within. Yet what it means to be inside is something unlike any other place in the universe. It is silence, ultimate and unbroken. For the traveler, there is no turning back. Once inside, all directions lead inward. Even if you try to shine a flashlight outward, the beam curves and returns. Even if you turn around, your path carries you toward the center. This is not because you are pulled against your will, but because space itself is flowing inward faster than you can move outward. Imagine a river rushing toward a waterfall. Once you have crossed a certain point, every paddle stroke, every effort only carries you downstream. The black hole is that waterfall, and the event horizon is its edge. Inside, communication with the outside world ceases. From beyond the horizon, no signal escapes, no light returns. To those who remain outside, you have vanished. To you, however, the journey continues. You fall deeper, carried along by the fabric of space-time itself, into a silence that grows heavier with each passing instant. What would you see inside? The truth is, no one knows. Our theories predict, but none can confirm. General relativity tells us the path leads inevitably toward the singularity, a point of infinite density at the center. Quantum mechanics, whispering from another angle, suggests that something else may happen, something we cannot yet imagine. The inside of a black hole is the most secret chamber in the cosmos, and its silence is absolute. But let us linger on what this means for perception. From within, you would see the outside world growing smaller, compressed into a shrinking window of light. The sky of stars you once knew would seem to hover above, frozen at the edge, as though painted onto a ceiling. With every step inward, that window shrinks further, until only a pinpoint of light remains, the outside universe collapsing into a dot, and then, even that disappears. What remains is silence. No outside, no messages, no way back. Inside a black hole, the universe turns inward, and the traveler is alone. Yet perhaps, alone is not the right word. You are not erased, not yet. You are part of the inward flow, merged with all the matter and light that has ever crossed the same threshold. Every star, every planet, every traveler, real or imagined, that has fallen into the same abyss, is with you, all moving toward the same fate. The silence inside is not emptiness. It is crowded with the history of the universe, folded into a secret place. There is something almost peaceful about this idea. Think of a library, quiet and vast, filled with books no one can read. Each book is a story preserved, but sealed. The black hole is such a library. It gathers stories, light, matter, time, and keeps them inside, silent to the outside world. Whether those stories are lost forever, or written into some new chapter, is something we cannot yet know. Physicists call this the information paradox. If matter falls into a black hole, does its information vanish? Or does it somehow survive, hidden at the horizon, encrypted in the faint whispers of Hawking radiation? The answer remains one of the greatest mysteries of modern science. The silence inside is not only physical, it is also intellectual. It is the silence of unanswered questions, the pause in the universe's conversation. And yet, for you as the falling traveler, that silence may not feel frightening. Instead, it may feel like surrender. The struggle to resist ends, the need to escape disappears. You are carried inward, as if by an invisible current. It is no longer a matter of choice, but of inevitability. And in inevitability, there can be calm. We feel echoes of this in our own lives. There are moments when resistance fades, when we accept what comes, when silence feels like release. To fall asleep is one such moment. The chatter of thoughts grows distant, the outside world shrinks, and you sink into silence. A black hole's horizon is the universe's version of this surrender, a drifting inward, unhurried, unstoppable, into a deeper, quiet. Still, the mind lingers on the question, what happens next? At the singularity, our mathematics breaks. Time and space as we know them end. Perhaps the matter that falls inside is crushed into a single point, all dimensions erased. Perhaps new universes are born within, each black hole a seed for another cosmos. Perhaps the silence is not an end, but a doorway. We cannot yet say. All we know is that inside, the silence reigns. But silence is not nothing. Silence is fertile. Silence is where imagination grows, and so, black holes give us both scientific puzzles and poetic truths. They remind us that not everything can be seen, not everything can be known, not everything can be told. Some things must remain mysteries, sealed away. And that, too, is a comfort, because in mystery lies rest, in silence lies peace. Not every question must be answered tonight, not every puzzle must be solved. Some can wait. Some can remain beyond the horizon, safe in the quiet. As you lie here, think of yourself floating in that silence. The outside world fades, the noise diminishes, the horizon is crossed. Around you is stillness, heavy yet calm. You are carried inward, not with violence, but with inevitability. The silence of the black hole becomes your silence, the rest you've been longing for. And just as you surrender to sleep, know this: the silence inside is not the end of the story. It is a pause, a threshold, a hidden chapter. The black hole holds it, waiting. You do not need to know what lies beyond tonight. It is enough to rest in the mystery. Good night, dear traveler. Drift into your own horizon, into your own silence. You are safe, you are carried, you are already home. If the event horizon is the doorway, and the silence inside is the passage, then at the end of the journey lies the most enigmatic destination in the cosmos, the singularity. The word itself carries a hush, singular, one, unique, a place where the known rules of the universe unravel. At the singularity, our mathematics falters, our equations break, and our understanding collapses as surely as the star that created it. It is not simply a point in space. It is a place where space itself ceases to be what we know. Let us try, gently, to imagine it. Picture a mountain shrinking, pressed smaller and smaller until it fits inside a pebble, then smaller still until the pebble shrinks to a grain of sand, then to dust, then to nothing at all. Yet the mass remains, the mountain's weight, the mountain's essence, compressed into a point of infinite density. This is what our physics suggests, a place where all the matter that fell inward is crushed into an infinitely small volume. But infinity is a word scientists use reluctantly. It is a sign not of certainty, but of ignorance. To say infinite is to say we do not know where the limit lies. The singularity is a mirror, reflecting not the truth of the universe, but the limits of our knowledge. Einstein's equations predict its existence. General relativity insists, when a massive star collapses, when space-time is curved beyond a certain point, a singularity forms. Yet quantum mechanics, which governs the smallest scales of reality, resists this idea. It whispers that infinities are illusions, that there must be a deeper truth. Somewhere, in the silence between these two great theories, the singularity waits, unsolved. What, then, might it be? Some imagine the singularity as a point where time itself ends. For the falling traveller, the journey concludes not because they stop moving, but because there is no more forward to go. Time is a road, and at the singularity, the road ends. Others wonder if the singularity is not an end, but a doorway. Perhaps the collapse funnels into another universe, each black hole a bridge to a new beginning. In this picture, what we call the end of one story is simply the first word of another. A black hole's heart becomes a womb of cosmos. Still others propose that matter never truly reaches an infinite point. Instead, quantum effects create a kind of fuzziness, a Planck star or another exotic object, where matter bounces or transforms. In this view, the singularity is not a void, but a metamorphosis, a cocoon where something unknown takes shape. No one knows for certain. The singularity is hidden, not only from sight but from understanding. It is the ultimate secret, the deepest silence, the place where knowledge itself falls inward. Yet perhaps that is what makes it so compelling. Human curiosity has always pressed against horizons, always sought to peer behind veils. We crossed oceans not knowing what lay beyond. We gazed at the sky, not knowing what stars truly were. And now we gaze toward black holes, wondering about their hearts. The singularity is the latest veil, and like all veils, it invites us forward. But let us step back and think in metaphors, as we often do in these bedtime journeys. The singularity can be imagined as the period at the end of a sentence, a tiny dot that concludes, yet also allows another sentence to begin. Or as the seed of a tree, small, dense, seemingly simple, yet containing the potential for vast forests. Or as the silence at the end of a song, the moment when the music ceases, but the memory of its melody lingers and makes room for the next note. The singularity is all of these, and none of them. It is unknowable, yet fertile with meaning. For the falling traveller, the singularity is destiny. No matter how you twist or turn, all paths lead to it. Once beyond the horizon, the journey is one way, converging at the heart. To fall into a black hole is to be drawn into inevitability, into a point where the universe folds in on itself. For the distant watcher, the singularity is only an idea. They never see you reach it. To them, you remain frozen at the edge, faded into red light, never quite gone. The singularity exists beyond their sight, beyond their confirmation. It is known only in theory, in equations, in dreams. And so, in this paradox, visible yet invisible, predicted yet unconfirmed, the singularity becomes not just a scientific object, but a symbol. It represents the limits of knowledge. It represents the boundaries we cannot yet cross. And it reminds us that mystery is not failure. Mystery is invitation. In your own life, too, there are singularities, moments where understanding falters, where certainty dissolves, where you cannot see beyond. These are not always ends. Sometimes they are beginnings. Sometimes the silence before a change is the singularity of your story, waiting to transform into something new. As you drift toward sleep, let this thought comfort you. You do not need to solve every mystery. You do not need to know what lies beyond every veil. It is enough to rest in the wonder, to let the silence be fertile, to trust that not all endings are final. Perhaps, one day, science will weave together relativity and quantum mechanics, and the singularity will no longer be infinite, no longer unknowable. Perhaps we will discover what truly lies at the heart of black holes. Until then, the singularity remains a poem written in equations, a riddle whispered in the fabric of space-time. And in its mystery, there is beauty. So close your eyes tonight and imagine that point of infinite possibility, a single dot holding the weight of a star, a silence holding the promise of new music, a seed holding the memory of a forest. This is the singularity, the heart of a black hole, the heart of mystery itself. Let that image cradle you, dear traveller. You need not fear the silence. You need not fear the unknown. The universe holds its secrets gently, and you are safe in its arms. Rest now, in the mystery. When we think of black holes, our minds often drift toward endings, collapse, silence, vanishing light. They seem like cosmic graveyards, places where matter goes to die. But if we linger on the bigger picture, another truth emerges. Black holes are not only destroyers, they are also shapers, recyclers, quiet architects of the galaxies we live in. Let us step back and look not at one black hole, but at the universe filled with them. At the centers of most galaxies, including our own Milky Way, there resides a supermassive black hole, millions, sometimes billions, of times more massive than our Sunday. They sit like anchors, their gravity binding entire systems of stars into swirling disks of order. Without them, galaxies might scatter, unable to hold their shape. This is the first way black holes recycle the cosmos. by giving galaxies structure. Their invisible presence holds stars together, weaving them into spirals, clusters, and grand designs. We often picture black holes as emptiness, but in truth, they are the quiet cores around which so much of the visible universe is arranged. The second way is more dramatic. When matter falls toward a black hole, it rarely goes quietly. Gas clouds spiral inward, colliding, compressing, heating until they shine with incredible brilliance. Some of that matter does cross the horizon, lost to silence, but much of it is flung outward before it can fall, carried away in jets of energy that blaze across space. These jets, powered by the spin of the black hole and the friction of the accretion disk, can stretch for thousands of light years, brighter than entire galaxies. They pour energy back into the cosmos, stirring gas, triggering new waves of star formation. In this way, black holes both consume and create. They take matter in, but they also breathe energy out, recycling the ingredients of stars. Astronomers sometimes call them cosmic engines. Left unchecked, galaxies might form stars too quickly, burning through their fuel. Black holes regulate this process, their jets preventing chaos, ensuring that star-making continues over billions of years. They are not simply graveyards, they are gardeners, pruning and feeding, shaping the growth of galaxies. There is an elegance in this balance. A star dies, collapses, becomes a black hole. That black hole, in turn, influences the birth of new stars. The cycle continues, death feeding life, silence fostering sound. In this way, the universe is not wasteful. Even its darkest places play roles in renewal. If we think in metaphors, a black hole is like a compost heap in a garden. On the surface, it looks like decay, like ending, but within, transformation occurs. What once was whole becomes broken down, its pieces reassembled into fertile ground. From that soil, new life grows. Similarly, black holes recycle matter and energy, redistributing them across space, seeding galaxies with the potential for new beginnings. Consider our own Milky Way. At its center, Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole, rests quietly, yet its influence extends across tens of thousands of light years. It has shaped our galaxy's past, and it will shape its future. Without it, the spiral arms that cradle our sun and earth might never have formed. The stars you see tonight, shining in familiar constellations, are part of a structure held together by a darkness you cannot see. This truth softens the fear we feel toward black holes. They are not villains of the cosmos. They are participants in its great balance. Like fire, they consume, but they also give warmth. Like the ocean, they swallow, but they also nourish. Their role is not only to end, but to recycle. Even the mysterious process of Hawking radiation, faint and slow though it may be, is part of this recycling. Over unimaginable time spans, black holes themselves may evaporate, returning their mass to the universe in a whisper of particles. Even the darkest engines do not last forever. Even they, too, are woven into the cycle of transformation. And perhaps this is the most comforting lesson of all. Nothing in the universe is wasted. Not the death of a star, not the collapse of matter, not even the silence of a black hole. All of it is folded back into the fabric, redistributed, renewed. In our own lives, we can feel echoes of this cosmic recycling. Moments that feel like endings often carry seeds of beginnings. A farewell makes space for a meeting. A failure becomes the soil for growth. A silence creates room for new voices. Just as galaxies are shaped by the gravity of their darkest hearts, so too are we shaped by the things we cannot always see. The losses, the pauses, the hidden transformations that guide us. So the next time you imagine a black hole, think not only of endings, think also of renewal. Think of galaxies spinning in their elegant spirals, stars forming from recycled gas, light streaming from jets across the void. Think of balance, not destruction. As you rest tonight, let this image cradle you. A galaxy, vast and serene, its stars turning in harmony, its shape held together by an unseen heart. At its center lies darkness, yes, but a darkness that gives form to light, a silence that makes music possible, a recycling that makes life endure. And as you close your eyes, know that you, too, are part of this cycle. You are stardust recycled, atoms forged in stars long gone, energy passed through countless forms before becoming you. You are living proof that nothing is wasted, that even death feeds life, that even silence holds meaning. So rest in that truth. You are not separate from the universe's great recycling. You are woven into it, carried by it, sustained by it. Even the darkest forces, even the black holes, are part of the same cycle that allows you to breathe tonight. Sleep then, with the knowledge that endings are never final, that darkness is not emptiness, that silence is fertile, the cosmos recycles, always, endlessly. And so, in your rest, you are part of that endless renewal. If a black hole is a doorway, then the natural question to ask is simple. A doorway to where? We are told that the event horizon is the point of no return, that nothing which crosses it can ever come back out. And yet, the human imagination resists. We wonder if there might be hidden paths, if the darkness might lead somewhere else, if perhaps an ending could be disguised as a beginning. This is where theory drifts into dream. When Einstein first imagined black holes with his equations, he also glimpsed the possibility of bridges, connections in space-time that could join distant points together. Later, these became known as wormholes. To picture one, imagine space and time as a sheet of paper. On the flat surface, two dots are far apart. But fold the paper until the dots touch, and the distance vanishes. A tunnel through the fold allows you to travel instantly from one point to another. A wormhole is that tunnel, a secret passage hidden in the fabric of the universe. Could a black hole be the entrance to such a tunnel? Could falling into one mean emerging somewhere else, on the far side of the galaxy, or even in another universe entirely? The mathematics allows it. But the universe, in practice, may not be so generous. Wormholes could collapse in an instant. They might require substances with negative energy to stay open, exotic matter that we have never seen. And yet, even if they never exist in reality, they live in our imagination as cosmic shortcuts, as whispers of escape from the most final of prisons. The equations of relativity also suggest another twin possibility, the white hole. Where a black hole swallows, a white hole would only expel. Nothing could enter, only emerge. A white hole would appear as a fountain of light and matter, an outpouring of energy from nowhere, and the mirror opposite of collapse. We have never seen such a thing, and perhaps they do not exist. Yet some speculate that the Big Bang itself might have been a white hole of sorts, the eruption of everything from a single hidden place, the ultimate release after the ultimate silence. Whether wormholes or white holes are real is not something we can confirm. They remain possibilities, mathematical shadows, speculations as delicate as dreams. But perhaps we cling to them because they comfort us. It is difficult to accept a story that ends with silence. It is easier to imagine hidden doors, secret tunnels, fountains of creation. In the darkest places, our minds long to imagine light. Even if these exotic objects never reveal themselves in reality, their metaphors are powerful. Wormholes suggest that journeys need not always be long and linear, that sometimes life offers sudden connections and unexpected shortcuts. White holes remind us that collapse can be followed by release, that endings may also be beginnings in disguise, that destruction and creation can be mirrors of one another. So let yourself imagine, just for a moment, that the fall into a black hole is not the end. Picture yourself drifting inward, crossing the horizon, and instead of silence, finding a tunnel that folds you across space and time. Perhaps you emerge in another galaxy, beneath unfamiliar stars. Perhaps you tumble out of a white hole, reborn into a new cosmos, light streaming around you. These are dreams, yes, but dreams can be enough. As you drift towards sleep, carry with you the thought that the universe is wider than we can prove, and stranger than we can yet know. Black holes may be endings, but they also invite us to imagine what else might lie hidden beyond the veil. Wormholes, white holes, these are the lullabies of physics, soft songs of possibility that soothe our fear of finality. Close your eyes and let the idea cradle you. What looks like a wall might be a gate. What feels like a silence might be a pause before a new sound. What seems like an ending may be the beginning of another chapter, written somewhere else, under another sky. We have wandered a long way together tonight, from the gentle pull of gravity to the silent horizon, to the bending of light and the mystery of singularities. We have imagined wormholes and white holes, dreamt of tunnels and fountains, and stood at the edges of possibility. Now, as our journey drifts to its end, we pause to ask a final question. What do black holes teach us about endings? On the surface, they seem like the most absolute of conclusions. Stars collapse, light is trapped, time itself falls inward. They appear to be the universe's punctuation marks, periods at the ends of sentences written in starlight. But when we look more closely, with both science and imagination, black holes reveal themselves to be more than endings. They are mirrors, reflecting truths about cycles, transformations, and the quiet necessity of mystery. A black hole is a reminder that nothing is truly wasted. A star dies, but its death seeds the galaxy with elements, with energy, with the possibility of new beginnings. Even the black hole itself is not only silence, it shapes galaxies, guides stars, and in time may evaporate, returning its mass to the universe. Endings, then, are not erasures. They are transformations, places where one form folds into another. A black hole also whispers about the limits of knowledge. Beyond the horizon lies silence, and in that silence, our equations fail. We cannot know what the singularity holds, at least not yet. And perhaps that is the most important lesson of all, that not every mystery needs to be solved, not every darkness needs to be pierced. Some unknowns exist to remind us of humility, of patience, of the beauty of not knowing. Just as night follows day, mystery follows clarity, and both are needed for balance. There is also a personal reflection here. To fall into a black hole, as we have imagined, is to surrender to inevitability, to drift into silence that cannot be resisted. In our lives, too, there are moments when resistance fades, when endings arrive, when we must let go. This letting go can be frightening, but it can also be tender. To sleep is one such letting go. To grieve is another. To age, to change, to transform, all are horizons we cross, each with its own silence. But black holes remind us that beyond silence, there is continuation. Beyond endings, there is renewal. Even the darkest centers of galaxies are part of creation's rhythm. Even the most final-seeming horizon is part of a larger story. If the universe recycles stars through black holes, then surely our own endings too feed into something greater than we can see. So, what black holes teach us about endings is simple, and yet profound. Endings are not empty. Endings hold shape, memory, transformation. Endings carry us forward, even when we cannot yet imagine what comes next. As you lie here tonight, let these reflections ease you. You do not need to fear the horizons in your own life. They are not walls, but thresholds. They are not voids, but passages. They are not the silence of absence, but the silence that prepares for new sound. Like black holes, they appear dark, but they shape the galaxies of your days, guiding you toward new stars. Now, dear traveler, we have reached the end of tonight's story. The universe grows quiet, and so should we. Let the darkness of the black hole transform into the darkness of your room, safe and familiar. Let the silence of its horizon mirror the silence of your breath, slow and steady. You are not falling, you are resting. You are not vanishing, you are being renewed. Here on Boring Science for Sleep, this is where the words grow soft and music begins to take their place. Gentle cosmic tones will follow, drifting like starlight across the quiet of your night. Allow them to cradle you as you drift past your own horizon into dreams. Thank you for being here, for listening, for wandering through the mysteries of the cosmos with me. If you'd like, share in the comments where you are listening from tonight and what time it is there. It always warms me to know how far these stories travel, how many horizons they cross before they reach you. But for now, it is time to let go, time to rest, time to join the stillness that black holes remind us of. Good night, dreamer. May your sleep be deep, your dreams luminous, and your tomorrow bright with quiet wonder.